Hey, welcome back to another video, and I'm doing this video right after doing the commentary for Titanic, which was like 3 hours and 10 minutes. So I got up, did some stuff, changed my t-shirt, got another drink, because Lucas had wanted a commentary and a review. Commentary is done. I don't know who's going to watch it all the way through. I guess Lucas, but hey, thank you for your... He was very generous, he was very kind. Very generous with the paid request, so thank you. I do really appreciate that. I'll get to Avatar another day because that one's also 3 hours long, so that'll be another day. But if anyone wants to send any other paid requests, review, re-review, commentary, tier list, ranking, video game playthrough for an hour or full playthrough, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. For those who sent them, thank you. I do appreciate it. And as the title suggests, as I will probably upload this the same day as a commentary, Titanic is the movie. Now, I did do a video long ago why I don't like Titanic, but this is more of an actual review since I just got done rewatching it. We'll probably never... Well, I guess I don't know what... I mean, if I did a commentary and I did a review, I guess there'd be really no reason for any other requests for it. So, probably be the last time I ever see this film. Now, do I think this is one of the worst films ever? Far from it. Do I think this film has some positive merits? Yes, it does. Technical-wise, music-wise, there's some really good technical achievements in terms of how much they built practically, the special effects, especially for its time. To repeat, James Horner's score is very solid. My Heart Will Go On with Celine Dion, while it got played so much that people got so tired of it, was it a song that fit the film? Very much so. Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet, I don't think they gave bad performances. Billy Zane is fun to see that guy, like him in a lot of films. Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight being one of them. Other actors I recognize, you have Jonathan Hyde, who was in Anaconda. You have Richie Rich, he was the butler in Richie Rich. You have Eric Braeden, who was in the soap opera Young and the Restless, and then he was the bad guy in The Ambulance, the Eric Roberts film directed by the late Larry Cohen. There's a few people here and there I recognize. Bill Paxton, of course, rest in peace, Bill Paxton. He's at the beginning, the end, and once in a while in the middle. You know, little splotches here and there. Always great to see Mr. Bill Paxton, rest in peace to him. And of course, directed by James Cameron, who I love a lot of his early films. Aliens is my favorite film of all time. I really enjoy The Terminator, True Lies, The Abyss, Terminator 2. This is when I started to not care for James Cameron stuff. This film isn't my cup of tea, I think, first and foremost. Long films, some of them I can like. The Shawshank Redemption, The Batman, Blade Runner 2049... Heat, the Michael Mann film. It just depends on the subject matter, the cast, all the story, other aspects. I remember seeing this in the theater. I got dragged to see this at the theater from the family. I lived in Iowa. We rarely got to the theater. When I say rarely, I mean like once in a while. Like maybe one or two times a year, maybe. So the fact that one of those times it was to see this fucking film, and like, really? Let me go see Tomorrow Never Dies, the James Bond film. Let me go see, a few months later, Deep Rising. But no, I gotta see this film because everybody's talking about it. So I'm sitting there as like I was probably about 14 at the time. Yeah, I was probably about 14 years old at the time. And I'm like, this fucking film is so goddamn 3-hour love story. It's not what a 14-year-old boy who watched Rambo and Jean-Claude Van Damme, Bloodsport, or was watching, The Golden Child, Big Trouble in Little China, the John Carpenter's The Thing, Dawn of the Dead, finding those out for the first time. It's not really the type of movie he's going to gravitate towards, especially when you have to piss for a while. Then he's like, no, I'm going to leave a piss. Fuck you, whatever happens, happens. I'll miss it. And the first half, I'm like, this is just so goddamn slow and boring. It picked up in the second half when the fucking boat finally hits the damn iceberg and the shit's sinking. There's a really good technical aspects, and it becomes a bit of a disaster movie, which is more what I'm into. The Towering Inferno, that type of stuff. For science adventure, I don't mind. But, disaster movies nowadays, they overall rely on CGI, but the more older disaster films, I'm a sucker for, even ones in the 90s. Like, I love Volcano, I can watch Dante's Peak, stuff of that nature. I do like. Twister, I enjoy, with Bill Paxton. But anyway, so it was a really good first impression as a 14-year-old kid. And then when everyone kept talking about it, it just got to this thing that was so hyped and overhyped because it became the biggest film of all time. First, it was the most expensive film of all time, breaking $200 million, which was unheard of at the time. Now it's typical. Oh yeah, throw a rock, you'll find a fucking Marvel film that costs $200 million, at least. Captain America Brave New World and shit. The Flash, that's a DC movie, but still, $200 million. Now it's typical. Back then it was unheard of. And then there were people saying, oh, it's going to bomb, and it's going to be like the next Heaven's Gate. The movie, not the real life stuff. I've been talking about the movie Heaven's Gate that Michael Cimino made that really hurt United Artists as a studio. Pretty much helped put that studio down. Pretty much. That they needed help and they tried to stand on their own 2 feet. At least not after that film bombed. So people thought this is what's going to happen with this, but then lo and behold, the opposite happened. It became the most highest grossing film of all time until Avatar became the highest grossing film of all time. And you couldn't get away from Titanic. You couldn't get away from that song, My Heart Will Go On. It was on the radio all the goddamn time. And then the VHS tape. Of course, the family had to have the VHS tape, which was 2 tapes. But what's funny is that years later, there was a time where I would go to search for DVDs, and at times they would have VHS tapes. About every single fucking one I went to had a VHS tape of Titanic. Every single one. They'd rather you say because they picked up the DVD because they didn't want to switch from one tape to the other. Or because, you know what, after the hype dies down, it's like, okay, even if you like the film, how often are you going to watch the film? It was very popular. But like I said, even if you liked the film, and there are some good filmmaking aspects to it, I will say, I would even put above Avatar, because I like Avatar even less than this one. But with how long the movie is, and how long it takes for it to get going, and how much the first half, I think, drags, it's not a movie you just pop in and rewatch it whenever you feel like it. And it's one of those films that was very popular at the time, but you don't really hear anybody talk about it. Like, when was the last time someone talked about Titanic? It's like E.T., which I like E.T. more, and it's definitely a shorter film. But E.T. was popular. E.T. felt like it was the most popular movie around its time. And now when was the last time anyone talked about E.T.? If people bring up Steven Spielberg, they mention Jaws, they mention Raiders of the Lost Ark, they mention Jurassic Park. They kind of forget about E.T. Same with James Cameron. They'll talk about Terminator 2, they'll talk about Aliens. And they almost forget about Titanic. Except sometimes they'll do like a trailer for the director of Titanic. Is one of the highest grossing films of all time, of course. But most of us remember more Aliens and T2 and even The Abyss. And that's the thing. If I want to see a James Cameron movie dealing with water and a love story, I just prefer The Abyss more. Because I think The Abyss goes at a faster pace. I like the side characters, supporting characters a lot more. I find it a little bit more interesting and more filled with personality. Michael Bean, Billy Zane is fun, but Michael Bean is definitely a much more intense, scary villain in that movie, antagonist. And it's just more interesting story with the sci-fi aspect, and even that love story I got a bit more into it because they used to be together. Then a bit more of a happier ending. Where here is trying to be more of the pull your heartstrings, tragedy. Can't say Romeo and Juliet because that would instill both of them die, which is not the case. They don't both die. I mean, I don't need to go into the plot. Well, great. Sometimes I say that. I don't need to go into the plot. Then 2 minutes later, I go into the plot. But, well, here I'm now going to go into the plot. I might as well. The beginning section with Bill Paxton looking at the Titanic. I found this stuff kind of interesting. James Cameron did that a lot in the submersibles and looked at the remains of the Titanic, the wreckage. That's where I think that was one of the first things James Cameron shot, was going down and filming the wreckage of the Titanic. And he said that was kind of, he did it before that, and he had such an emotional response. He's like, I got to do this movie. He was fascinated by the subject material. So he got the footage and then was able to eventually make the film. Was it 160 days or so? It took a while. 20th Century Fox was scared that this was going to... It's ironic. They were scared this was going to fuck up their company. And then what happened? Decade or so later, well, more than a decade later, the company got fucked up, and now Disney bought it and has it, so go figure. So they joined with Paramount, and one company would get the U.S., and then one company would get the foreign, international sales. But yeah, Bill Paxton, him talking so flowery and so kind of pompous, and then he's like, done with that shit. I kind of want to see more about these guys and these explorers and what they're doing and how they fit in the submersible, like how they pass the time and what got them. Like the way I'm into movies, I want to see more of Bill Paxton and his crew. But that, of course, that's not what the movie's about. So they're looking, they find a safe, they think something important's be in it. They've been looking for this jewel, this necklace, and they don't find it, but they find a drawing. They find a drawing of this woman that looks like she's wearing the necklace. Gets put on TV, and Gloria Stewart, who plays the older Rose, she sees it, calls, verifies some things. They bring her onto the ship that they're on, and she tells the story. Makes me wonder how long it took for her to tell this whole fucking story, and which details she did and what details she left out. Because obviously she could not tell the bits of the movie that she's not in those scenes. So I would assume just this. But man, this is even just verbalizing all this must have been a long ass fucking story. Now, the thing about that, I get why James Cameron did it, to kind of set things up and then drift us into the story from back in the day. Although what it does is it already tells us this Rose character will live. So you kind of spoil that type of suspense that no matter what happens, no matter what she goes through, no matter what is happening, we know for a fact, unless it becomes like an M. Night Shyamalan and she's a fucking ghost the whole time. Which, that'd be a hell of a twist. Well, she was jacked. She was Leo DiCaprio the whole time, and she transitioned. That'd be some M. Night Shyamalan, a ding-dong twist. But it's like we already know she's going to live. So I know people go, well, that's not the point. It doesn't matter. Okay, but I'm just saying, like, part of the movie is the survival aspect, and you already know one of your characters will survive, and thus more than likely you know the other one will die because the fact that what else would have happened to the guy? They get by and they dump each other. We got back, we were fine, then he dumped me for a hot blonde and a cheeseburger and a cherry Coke. Like, it's okay, well, if she's alive, so we know she's alive, so with the way these movies work and the way her situation is now, more than likely, that means the other guy's going to die. The other character's going to die. So you kind of predict that going into it. So that kind of loses a little bit of the suspense. Now, Leo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, I thought they did fine acting-wise. And there's cute moments with them. I do think that the build-up to the love story takes way too fucking long. I did it. You don't want to just do 10 minutes and then boom, iceberg ahead, you hit with the iceberg. I get that, but it takes so fucking, like, an hour and 15, hour and 20 or something for the iceberg to hit. It just takes way too fucking long. And I don't think there was enough intrigue for me in the love story for it to last that fucking long. Kate Winslet, she's with Billy Zane, who's an asshole, and she wants to get away from him. And her mom is being a bitch about it. Leo wins some money at cards. Him and his buddy get on. And then they're kind of up to the world. Woo! Leo sees Kate, looks like she's ready to jump. He tosses her out of it. She almost falls. He helps her out. He helps her up. Then they fall for each other, and then they, like, do we need the scene where they teach you where one teaches the other how to fucking spit? No, I don't think we need it. I think there's enough scenes of them bonding that we don't need a scene where they're trying to fucking spit. She should swallow. No, I'm just kidding. But swallower is the more... Trust me, guys like a swallower more than a spitter. Trust me, Rose. Food for thought there. But anyway. It just tastes so fucking long. And I could... In the first half, other than a few shots of the ship, which are some nice looking shots, there's really not much else of spectacle, I would say, until halfway through the film. And I like Billy Zane. He's playing a fun, dickhead. Do I think he has that sinister edge that I'm frightened by him, intimidated by him as a villain? No. David Warner maybe a little bit more, and I like David Warner from Rest in Peace to him. He was in the original Waxwork as the villain. He's been in other stuff. He had a bit role in Scream 2. Done a lot of other movie roles. He's kind of the other bad guy working with Billy Zane. But unless you're a diehard fan of the love story, which again, there's other love stories I prefer. Ghost being one of them. I did The Abyss being one of them. It's not that I hate the actors, it's just I just didn't give a fuck. Or I gave a fuck for a little bit, but not this goddamn long. And it'd be like a movie that you want to watch and fast forward. Fast forward motion. And the other side characters is like, okay, there's that guy, then there's that person, there's Kathy Bates. But to me, they barely have much characteristics of them. Kathy Bates is good because it's Kathy Bates, but she doesn't have a whole lot to work with. I like Jonathan Hyde as an actor. Does he have a whole lot to work with? Not really. Considering how long the film... It's just, okay. So the side characters, supporting characters, I don't find that fascinating or intriguing. And the two leads, other than being lovey-dovey, it's okay. I just didn't give a shit. I don't know how to put it. Until finally they hit the iceberg. And I will say, with all the effects shot, the iceberg shot kind of looked the most dated. When it passes by, as by the ship, that kind of looked like the most dated effects. But some of them do look pretty good, especially the practical stuff. You can't get more real than real, so that's where practical wins the day on that front. But yeah, I'm watching this and going, and as I'm doing the commentary, I'm sitting there going, oh my fucking god. And then, oh, finally, something is happening. So we got the iceberg hit, but even then it's like, okay, it's going to take like an hour. They say in the movies, it's going to take like an hour before, we have like an hour or so left. I forgot the whole bit where Leo is framed for a crime and then he's tied up and then she's got to go down and help him figure out what to do, finally get an axe. And I'm sitting there going, it's funny because this kind of all for nothing. Like, she's taking all this effort to go save Leo DiCaprio when she could get on a boat and live, just so that Leo dies and she lives. Now, granted, I get it. It's because obviously these characters don't know it yet, and also eventually because she's separated, the others think she's gone and dead. That way she could disappear and have a new life, and that's how it worked out in the end for her. So I get why they did that overall, among other things. I get it. But it was one of those things, I was like, well, damn. She did all that work to save him, just for him to die anyway. Because she's too fucking fat ass. She can't move and let him get on the goddamn thing. There's enough room. I'll get to that in a few minutes or so. But I forgot that whole thing. Which again, since I know what's going to happen, and it's like, okay, this is a fruitless venture, but I did it, she likes him, he likes her, she's going to try, I did it. So I was just marveling at the technical aspects, how much stuff they built of the Titanic, the flooding of the rooms. There's the one bit where Billy Zane shoots the gun and the other two are going down and going through the water again. You just, these wide shots of seeing how the whole entire rooms are flooded up. You see the chaos and you see the frustration and you put yourself in the place of them of, yeah, there's not enough boats. And of course the rich gets favored because the poor gets the shaft, like happened a lot. Still happens today, but happened a lot more back then. And how, the women and children, even though I didn't realize, I'll put it this way, I forgot Jeanette Goldstein has a big part in this. Vasquez from Aliens, she was also in Terminator 2. She has a big part in this. She's a woman with two kids, and it's weird because she's by these doors that look like they won't let people out unless it's women and kids. But they don't try to get in front. And after it, later on, they do try to let a girl out. But then some guys try to fuck around and get through. But I'm like, how come this whole time this woman and two kids aren't trying to get out? Because there's a moment where they're right by these gates, these doors, but they don't. But then the next time we see them, they're back in their room and ready to sleep. And the idea is that they're all going to sleep and die together. And that's the tragedy of it all. But I'm like, why didn't they try? And I like the whole thing with the people playing the music. I get it. It's like, we're going to die anyway, so we might as well die. Go down with the ship, what we're loving to do. I'd be like, fuck that shit. I'd be like, fuck the music. Okay? I'm going to try somehow, some way to live. I don't care if we got to rip open a fucking door or a goddamn cot, drag its ass, and like try to make it float some way, some form. Try. At least I'm going to try. I'm not going to keep playing fucking music. So I get the idea, and that's based on recollections that had happened. So I get why he put it in there, because apparently it did happen for real. I'm just thinking of like the people back to the day. I'm like, dude, like, you're not going to try? Like, you just going to play your fucking music? Fuck the music. Okay? I like movies, but I'm not going to watch a movie while everything's, going down with the ship. I'm not going to pop in a fucking movie and watch it while it's happening. But I mean, James Cameron, he does showcase the chaos and the manic, the way people will behave, and some people will be decent, some will care about their own livelihood. And there are some great looking shots where you see the wide shots where the ship is halfway or a quarter in the water, and these wide shots where you see people stirring up and people in the water and people in boats trying to push people back, and you really get the grand scale of the situation. So, which is why people wanted to see it on the big screen. So, credit where credit's due on the special effects guys and the techniques used on that. Even the bits when the ship's going up and then the one half breaks off and it bobbles like a bobblehead. Not bubble, but it bobbles up. Now, yeah, granted, you see some people fall and it's digital, but you do see other people fall and just done practically, or they slide down. Credit to the stunt people involved with those. But yeah, I mean, I know it's not right to say the movie's about it takes 3 hours to watch a boat sink. I know there's more to it than that, but that's how I feel because I never gave that much of a fuck about this film. I find a good chunk of the first half boring. When it gets to the second half, I can appreciate the technical aspects, but then there's other films I would just rather watch that get more invested in the story, the characters, what's going on. I'm more satisfied with the ending, all the other jazz. And speaking of characters, when they get to the water, Rose and Jack, they're all like, I know, like, she gets on the thing and then he tries to get on and then it kind of wobbles a bit. But then they don't try anymore. I'm like, bullshit. Like, there's enough goddamn room for the both of you on that fucking thing. I don't care what Jimmy Tammy has to say. I don't care what you have to say, Jimmy Tammy. There's more enough fucking room for the both of your fucking asses to be on there, and he would have lived. Possibly. Maybe. Potentially. But she had to take her fucking fat ass, take the whole goddamn thing. Like, bitch. Move, bitch. Get out the way. Get out the way, bitch. Get out the way. That's... Hell, have one lie on top of the other and more body warmth. That would have helped out too. Body warmth. Because you see this wide shot and you see like how, you know, she's got like room on the left, room on the right. I'm like, you got enough fucking room, man. The both of you could have done it. Come on. Or at the very least, lie on top of each other. Something like that. Some people go, oh, it's too much weight. I don't know. I think you could try a little bit harder. They tried for like 10 seconds, then gave up. Try a little bit harder, you know, and see. But anyway. By then, you know she's going to live. And you know he's going to die. So it doesn't fucking matter. Also, one little thing that kind of wondered is that, you know, they see the people, the water's so cold that people have been frozen, and she tries to get in contact with this boat searching for survivors. There's a guy with a whistle, and I'm sitting there going, if you have a metal thing in your mouth and it's that fucking frozen, it's going to be stuck. You have to, like, and even when you put, like, you put it in there, like, within, like, seems like within a brief amount of time, it's going to be stuck. It's going to be like a Christmas story. And it's going to be a Christmas story. Your fucking mouth's going to be stuck right to that thing. With how cold it was and the whistle being, you know, metal. I've seen a Christmas story. But anyway, that's a little thing here. There. And then I guess the end of the film... she drops the jewel into the water, and I'm like, you had that the whole fucking time? You tell me that all these years, your kids, your grandkids, all the stuff you could have done to, I don't know, sell that some way, some form, get some money, and you could finance a whole life? And I guess maybe the idea is that she be found out of who she is. But, there's some anonymous people. Some way, some shape, some form. Maybe. But especially after she says, like, the guy died in, what was it, 1929 or something, she said? Like, right after then, when you don't have to worry about Billy Zane. Oh, that's another thing. I'm sure that probably pissed people off. Like, Leo lives, and then Leo dies, and then Billy Zane lives. Now, granted, you hear that Billy Zane his terror didn't live too long, but still, I'm sure that's like, what the fuck? Granted, you say that's Billy Zane living at that point was less predictable, so I'll give you that. But yeah, she never sold that thing for her family and stuff. And then I just depends how you interpret the ending. A lot of people interpret that she dies in her sleep and then she's back. I'm like, first off, fuck being back on the Titanic. This is where we all died. I want to be somewhere else. Let's be on a beach. Did Naked in Tahiti. Living on, 12% or something. Let's get Naked in Tahiti or something. Fuck going back to the Titanic where everybody died and all this shit happened. Number two, if this is the afterlife and she's dealing with Leo again, I'm like, I guess her husband, more likely who's dead, because she's supposed to be 100 years old. I guess her husband's like, well, I guess I don't get my wife in the afterlife. Shit happens. Goddamn, I'm waiting for my wife in the afterlife and she's out there boning Leo DiCaprio. Them's are the bright guy. Now, granted, you can also interpret it's a dream, and her dreaming is like the first dream she's had of a long time about that time period. So you could interpret as that. Although, again, I sometimes you always wonder, like, when someone loses their first love, then they find another love. If the afterlife exists, who gets with who? Do you deal with your first love, or you deal with your current love, or do you have a threesome? I don't fucking know. So I don't know, just something that occurred in the back of my head. I can't just being stupid, but yeah. Titanic, Titanic, Britannic. This is also one of those things, kind of a turning point where James Cameron nowadays, like since then, he won the Oscar. This film won a lot of Oscars, of course. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Score, Best Song, Visual Effects. But to go up key in the world, and then he felt his shit don't stink, and then he does Avatar, which I think is worse than this. And then, like, you know what? I kind of regret making Terminator because of all the gun stuff, and then not make up his mind on whether he likes Terminator Genesis or doesn't like Terminator Genesis, or he likes Terminator Dark Fate or doesn't like Terminator Dark Fate, or he likes AVP or he doesn't like AVP. I get it, people change their minds. I've done it, you've done it, but this guy does a fucking lot. And sometimes, like, on a whim. And then his stupid AI shit for the fucking 4Ks for True Lies and Aliens, which is ironic because he made movies about the danger of AI, and now he's... Tis AI is that. See, now AI is making me sick. Give me the burps. Which, I mean, it's fun to make goofy posters, but we have to be careful, on certain shit too. But maybe for me, I'm like, whatever happens, happens. I think we're all fucked no matter what. No matter what happens, we're all fucked. That's maybe the way I look at it. But, yeah, Titanic... It's a movie that I played so much back in the day that even if you haven't seen the film, it just feels as if I don't know. It just feels as if you've seen the film multiple fucking times already. It just feels like, yeah, damn, I've seen this film. You might have seen the film once, twice, thrice, but it feels like you've seen it 20 times because of the way people kept talking about it. I don't know if that made sense to people. So it's one of those films that, yeah, I never need to see the film again. And again, do I think it's a badly made film or a badly acted film? No. James Horner, rest in peace to him. My favorite story of his will always be Aliens. But he does it. I know James Cameron hired him for this because he liked his score for Braveheart. It's a good score. But yeah, it's just one of those, like, I think just the first half especially is just, God, really, I always thought the first half of this film was just so boring and it just took forever. And then by the time, it's still a ship sinking, but there's some good technical aspects. But I mean, I don't know. Just got tired after a bit. So with that said, I respect what the film did, but I'll never see this film again. So, put the button on Titanic. It is what it is. Is there anything else I could say? Leo DiCaprio is a good actor. I've liked a lot of his films throughout the years. What's He Deal with Grape, Inception, The Revenant, Wolf of Wall Street, Billy Zane. I like him. I read up that originally Michael Biehn might have been a part of it as that role, but maybe they thought it'd be too similar somehow to The Abyss or something. I don't know. But I also heard that with Avatar as well, and it's like, James Cameron, you ever gonna work with Michael Biehn again? Like, you brought Jeanette Goldstein back for this. You brought Sigourney Weaver back for what, Avatar. I guess to be fair, he's never really brought back Edward Furlong, but, you know, there you go. Maybe Avatar 3. So we'll see. Anyway, I got nothing else to say. Thanks for watching. Take care. And we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.